Okay, got the Mossberg out, got it all wiped down, cleaned up a little bit. First thing I noticed when I had to take the barrel off to make sure I got underneath the barrel and cleaned off a lot of the action equipment down below, it was covered too, is that in the hand you can feel the barrel actually pop right here under the front of the stock. You can't get a piece of paper down through the bottom. A lot of people doing this to test for the full float, and you can't do it. There's no way. The only way I can get it to actually get the paper underneath it is to take my hand and push up on the bottom of the barrel while you're sliding the piece of paper in. It's kind of hard to do here, but you can actually get it underneath there. So it may take a little bit of trimming on the stock. The other thing I did notice when I had it off is here in this section, from where this little lip is, that's where it won't let you full float back from, is from here back is pretty much completely open. So there's a lot of room in there. They've got some kind of keyhole slots in there too. I'm not sure what that's for, but underneath here is a very large opening that the barrel nut lug, or the lug there, is actually sitting in, but there's a lot of room to be able to do something like a glass bed there and set that up. You could do the whole thing if you wanted to. There'd be a lot of material here. The only thing that would be kind of problematic is you've got a lot of room, but you also have a lot of room to show the actual glass bedding down here on the side. And of course with this laminate stock it might be a little obvious. Then again, if you're just looking to make the accuracy a little better, not so worried about the looks, it might not be a big deal. Or you might be able to dye some of your glass bedding to make it look a little better. This one is aluminum pillar bedding. You take the screws off here on the bottom, you can actually see the pillars. They have epoxied them in themselves. They are both different, a little bit different sizes because of the trigger guard here and where the screw holes are set down in there. That is definitely something I didn't see coming. I didn't think they were actually pillar bedded. I thought they'd just be sitting in wood like a lot of other guns are, but it is nice to see that it's definitely got pillar bedding on it. The actual magazine well here, is it comes out. You can actually take this out when you go to clean it. The magazine here, the first thing I noticed about the magazine is, for some people it's not going to be a real big deal, but if you slide one out, you can actually see where, if the camera will focus here, you can actually see there's marks in the actual case itself. Some people it's not going to be a big deal because they're just hitting the ground anyway, but for those of us who like to reload, that could be a potential problem, depending on how much that's digging into the case and if it'll actually come out. You can actually see here on the actual rim itself, it's also causing the exact same mark on the rim too. I can actually feel it with my fingernail in there and see that there's definitely something there. Not sure if that's just maybe this particular ammo that's kind of a softer outside or a coating or something like that that's coming off. This is just some 5.56 Federal that I picked up. This is a 5.56 223 gun, so I'll be alright with these. I'm also not sure if it's the actual magazine itself causing the problems. It very well could be the magazine itself. I do notice that there's quite a harsh lip right here on the inside. That could be making the marks. Might be something we try with a little sandpaper, a little file or something like that. See if we can take them off. It even actually makes it really hard to load these because they drag on this little sharp edge here on either side of the actual magazine. Now, these are AR-15 mags, so I might find a plastic one. See if the plastic doesn't make it a little easier and keep them from scratching the outsides. I haven't shot this yet, so this actually may be a good test to see how this magazine feels, how they reload. I did cycle a couple through them a little while ago. It is kind of stiff. I think that might be part of the spring inside, maybe a little stiff from it being new. It might be because of the way this is trying to cut into the actual cases on the rounds too. That could also be making it load a little bit hard, but it is definitely a little stiff. They do feed. You do have to give them a little bump to get them in there. This is probably only half full. This is 10 round mag. I probably only have 5 or 6, 7 in here, something like that. So the spring might be causing a little bit of the issue. I can only assume that when I get the full 10 in here, it may make the problem worse. We'll see what happens. Haven't really got to play around with adjusting the trigger yet. Like to see that. I'm going to have to put a trigger test on it, see exactly what it's pulling down to. You hear a lot of what these are supposed to go to. A lot of people, individual people, getting different results out of them. From what I understood, it's somewhere around the 2 is about as light as they're going to let it go. And I think you can get up to 7, but this is more of a bench rest gun, so going through the field with it not going to be such a crucial thing, having it set on like 7 pounds or so. Would rather see it on the lighter side for doing something like a bench rest situation. Going to have to put a scope on here as well. I do notice on here these scopes look awful similar to I think it's a Remington 700. I've also seen where people have used those on here. From what I recall, they only use 3 holes on a Remington 700 instead of the 4 that are here. I'm not sure what I want to go with. This is a staggered fitment. Front block's a little shorter than the back block, so it's definitely going to have to be of different sizes to find out what it is. I know you can get them from, I think it was EGW. You can get an actual full top rail, so it's a full Picatinny rail here instead of the 2 split here. Not real sure what I'm going to do with that yet. Might just leave it as is. We'll see. Probably going to yank the scope off of my 17 HMR just so I can go out and throw a couple down at this evening. Want to see how it's going to shoot. Definitely going to have to do a barrel break-in. And we'll find out what happens. Haven't even really looked down the barrel yet. Just got it together, wiped it down a little bit so I could see, make sure that there were no obvious problems with it. One thing I also did notice is this bolt here is not nearly as shiny as I thought it was going to be for being a spiral, a polished spiral. You can see there are some colors in it. I don't know if that's just from where I've only wiped it down with a rag and no cleaner, no solvent or anything like that. But we'll see exactly what's going to happen with it. I do notice it does lock a little hard, but again, I haven't even shot it yet, so it might take a little while to break in. See how long the break-in is going to be on it, see how stiff this is going to be after I get pushing something through it. I will end up reloading with this round. Right now the cost of 223556 is kind of high, higher than it's been in a while. I would like to go out and plink a little bit. I got some land that I can go down and shoot on, but I'm not really wanting to pay $1 a round for your ammo. So I'm going to reload this round. Not sure what it's going to come out to be. We're going to have to play around with the load, see what it's going to come out to be. Seen a lot of people easily get some 1 MOA out of this. Hoping to get it down to at least a half at 100 yards just to start out with, and then maybe we'll start playing around with some load issues and see what we can't tweak out on it, come up with. And I'll let you know what the accuracy comes out to be after we get it all broke in. Maybe I'll show you a video after a bit of the scope being on it and just tossing the bipod on it, and we'll see where it comes out with.